So this chapter is a combination of 2A and 2B on sequences and sequence rules. In this chapter, you will learn to use a pattern of shapes to write a sequence of numbers, and then to find a rule to describe a sequence of numbers. Then you'll use a rule to find the numbers of a sequence. So the first skill is using a pattern of shapes to write a sequence of numbers. So if we look at these shapes and we look at the problem, it says, look at the Spanish tile pattern and determine the sequence that was used. So if we look at the first shape, first sequence, we'll notice that there is one tile. In the second shape, we'll notice that there are 5 in total. And then we'll notice in the next one that there are 9. And then in the next one, we'll notice that there are 13. So we have to determine the sequence that was used, which basically means a sequence, which is a series of numbers. So the sequence itself is 1, 5, 9, 13. Now we actually have to describe the sequence. So what we can say is we start with one tile, and each time we add 4 more. Because if you notice, that's the pattern. So to describe it, we would say you start with 1 and you add 4 each time. So first is the number sequence, then second is how we would say it. Start with 1, then add 4 each time. Skill 2, find a rule to describe a sequence of numbers. So if we look at example A, we're looking at the pattern of the scoops of ice cream on the cone. And then in pattern B, we're looking at the number of flowers that eventually die off in the end at the final phase. So at this time, can you tell me the rule for each sequence? Meaning, what do you start with? Then, what do you add or subtract? So, pause. So for A, if you notice, you start with 1, and every single time you add another scoop. And so our number sequence looks like this. So how would you describe it? Well, you start with 1 and you add 1 each time. So we would write, start with 1, then add 1 each time. In B, you have to first, of course, count the number of flowers. And the first vase has 12 flowers, then 9, then 6, then 3, and then nothing. So, if you notice, it's dropping by 3 each time. So you would write, start with 12, then subtract 3 each time. Skill 3, use a rule to find the numbers of a sequence. The instructions say, generate the first 4 terms of each sequence. So I will start with A to show you. It says the first term is 8. Okay, 8. I need the first 4 terms. So I need 1 here, the next one, and the next one. Just the first 4. Then the rule is to add 3 each time. So 8 plus 3 is 11, 11 plus 3 is 14, and 14 plus 3 is 17. At this time, pause and do the rest. Okay, so here we go. The first term is 16, and the rule is to subtract 2. 16, 14, 12, and 10, because we subtract 2 each time. In C, the first term is 2. The rule is to times by 3 each time. So 2 times 3 makes 6. 6 times 3 makes 18. 18 times 3, well, that makes 54. The first term is 10,000. The rule is to divide by 10. So remember, every time you divide by 10 and there's so many zeros in it, you're really just taking a zero off. So that becomes 1,000, then this becomes 100, and then finally just 10. Then the last one, the first term is 17, and the rule is minus 5. So 17 minus 5 is 12. Minus 5 is 7. Minus 5 is 2. And that's it.